navigation, you start to look at things in real life. I actually agree with what he's saying.
What's up, y'all? Tim Ream here. I'm on day 24 of 75 hard. Today I'm going to do shoulders for my first 45-minute workout. I'll do the outdoor portion, the other 45-minute workout later today. I've got everything set up. Spring cut's going good, diet's going good, all that stuff, man. Super excited to see where it's going to take me and where I'm going to end up at the end of this. These workouts have been stretching on a little bit, so I'm going to try to come up with maybe like a theme or a topic of something that I can cover as far as like either bodybuilding or nutrition or just like kind of general bodybuilding knowledge and that sort of stuff. And so I figured we're better to start than kind of the first fundamentals, and I feel like you can't really start thinking about bodybuilding in a logical manner until you know the driving factors as to what actually produces muscle growth and then kind of the elements that surround it. So I'm going to try to get into a little bit of that today as I work out. Still going to walk you guys through my workout and how and what I'm thinking, all that stuff. But anyways, I've got it all set up, so I'm going to get into it. One thing I am going to change up that I normally do is I'm going to start putting heavier shoulder press movements in there, which I've been starting off with like kind of just isolated movements, but I'm going to start off with the machine press over here and start kind of not necessarily worry about sculpting, but maybe start trying to focus on strength, and I feel like the muscle will kind of fall into place after that, muscle building aspect. So I'm going to hit military press and then start doing some more isolated stuff. I'll also do some abs and some forearms, but I'll put them at the end of the workout.
Us saying that because it's like a natural thing, or how much of it is actually real? Because it's hard to know.
Part of me says it, but the more you say it, the more you will believe it. Mm-hmm. And if we kind of take a leap of faith and we say, look, I might not be able to go online and change the nature of America through, on Instagram or whatever, whatever TikTok of the day is, but I know what I can impact. Mm-hmm. And if you have faith, and I know you guys do because of how you lead your lives, if you have faith that you can impact.
Yeah, one thing about like me talking about logical bodybuilding, here's the thing, like if you don't have the proper input, if you have illogical things in your mind to begin with, then it's impossible to come out with logical conclusions at the end. And for years I stumbled around with a lot of misconceptions about bodybuilding, how to build muscle, the diet, the nutrition, the rest aspect, all of the things that really culminate into the complete physique and the muscle building aspect. And it wasn't until I got all of those things sorted out in my mind and really narrowed down to where, okay, I know what factors drive growth. I know what factors need to be in there diet-wise. I know how much rest I need to be getting. Was I able to put all that into my thinking and then really start building on it logically and coming to solid conclusions that actually have application in the real world and are actually going to be able to, I'm going to be able to see results from this. Because if you don't have that, then you're going to be running around and trying a lot of different methods, and you're going to be confused on a lot of different things. And since time is our most precious ally, then you're going to be wasting a lot of time trying all these different fad diets, all of these different things. But if you actually know the science behind it, not necessarily the science, but how it all works, then you can actually start really thinking about this stuff and breaking it down and really getting it inside of you and being able to work from that place. But I'd say one of them, the first factors is really knowing what stimulates growth. I'm going to do a warm-up set and I'm going to come back to it.
Right? While I have you, this is, because every time I go on any platform, I make it real clear how much I owe to the special forces community and how much of my life is impacted by that. And it's a way to kind of say, hey, find something bigger than yourself and serve that mission. It doesn't have to be this. But the SF mission is you work by, with, and through others. You go in, so the first, the horse soldiers into Afghanistan right after 9/11, in the boneyard of the Soviet Empire, They went in there and worked with the Northern Alliance in order to defeat the Taliban. They didn't try to go in and say, hey, we're just going to do this ourselves. You work with us, you train the trainers, you force volts up.
Yeah, like the biggest thing would be knowing what stimulates growth. And for years, like I used to do probably 20 sets per body part, you know, probably 5 or 6 different exercises, 5 sets apiece in each exercise. And dude, I didn't hardly grow at all. And the thing was, like, I had to actually realize, like, I would do 1 set, and since I had 4 or 5 more other sets to do, I'm like, well, I just need to take it easy because I've still got 5 ahead of me, right? And so basically, I was doing a lot of volume, but I actually wasn't going into the, what I call the red line area, and pushing my body past its last peak in order to give it a reason to grow. So if you realize that your body, you have to present your body with a stress in order for it to say, oh shit, like this is a, you know, stress that I need to cope to. It has to be presented something different than it always has. And once you can go past your limitations, 3 or 4 or 5 reps, like that right there is actually what produces the growth. It ain't the amount of sets. It's about going into that red line area and presenting your body a stimulus that's never encountered before. And that was one of the key things that I had been missing, because I'd do a bunch of sets, but I'd really just get the burn and then I'd just kind of drop the weight. And where I did see growth kind of in the beginning, like for long-term growth, that doesn't work because you never presented anything new.
Not to start a backpack. It's so limited. We printed it once. How many? Did some copies and like, I think it's on Audible now or whatever. It wasn't. It's just like I needed to get that out for me. Yeah. But it was mostly just a catalog of struggles of it, right? Because people look at stuff and they think that, you know, the beer fridge at HQ has just always magically been that way and Halo just magically got. It's just like, oh, this is just what it is. Like our revolution is their baseline type stuff, but you got to go to the next generation and talk about what the revolution is like, you know. And so it was. I'm a totally accidental entrepreneur. Accidental entrepreneur. I never had a lemonade stand as a kid. I was playing sports and doing all that kind of stuff, whatever. But as I was in between my deployments, so the first one was to Iraq, second was to West Africa. And Emily was in a different country in West Africa. But on Christmas leave, between those two, I went and visited her at her diplomatic housing in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, West Africa. Right? I was like, man, it was really weird because it's coming from this war team. Like, you have your gun trucks and you know you're at war. You have the team, like, this is what's up, you know? And he's acting like, man, this is, like, the hairs on the back of the neck are standing up just from the vibe. Like, but it wasn't, not a war at all. It just, I didn't know what to make of it, basically. Which is insane.
Yeah, so basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, if you do, say, 10 reps, and the 10th rep being the absolute max, 100%, like, you have to give it everything you've got in the tank to be able to do that 10th rep. Like, if you do 1, 2, 3, and you stop at that 6 or 7, 6th or 7th rep, like, you don't actually ever take it into that red line area to where your body actually is physically challenged, and it will deploy those resources and able to cope in order to cope to that stress. And so, like, that was one of the fundamental things that I was missing. I thought if I just did a lot of volume, then I'd be okay. But it wasn't actually until I got that one little aspect that I was actually able to start seeing muscle growth. And that one thing being said is, your body actually only has, another aspect about this is your body only has a limited amount of biochemical resources that it can deploy at any certain point in time. And so, since they're finite, I need to find the fine line in between how many sets I can go into that failure zone and how fast my body can recover from it. Like, is it 1 set? Is it 2? Like, you know, with 1 set, I find that I'm good after about 4 days to go back in and work out that same muscle group. But if I go into 2 or 3 sets to failure, like hard, heavy sets to failure, then it'd probably take me a week to really recover if I'm documenting my process and all of my, like journaling all my stuff right. Because really, technically, what should be happening from one time to the next is I got stronger. And if you're not getting stronger, it's because you've got about 4 different things lacking. It's nutrition, it's the rest in between sets, it's rest days in between workouts, and then it's, are you actually stimulating the growth to begin with? And if you can hit all of those, if you're not getting stronger, then it's one of those factors right there. You don't have enough rest, or you don't have the nutrition behind it, that sort of thing.
An expert of an expert, because choose the wrong socks.
All right, so I do a couple warm-up sets, and I do one all-out max set to failure. And this last set should basically be like somebody has a gun to your kid's head, and they're going to pull the trigger if you don't give it 100%. So the last set is an A set. It is the set that's going to stimulate the growth. It is the set that's going to take you into that red line area that tells your body, whoa, this is a weight that I've got to cope to. And you've only got to do it one time.
Why not? So how do I do that? I don't know. How do you, I remember Googling backpack designer. There was this ad on YouTube. It was very primitive at the time. Anyway, I'm like, okay, well, how hard can this be? It's a terrible question to ask, because it's a million times harder. You know how hard it's going to be, you're never going to do it. Might as well just do it. Right? Those are the questions that you want to find out the answers to when you ask yourself. So did what, probably pretty normal. Put an ad in Craigslist, New York City for a quote backpack design. Because that's how you do it, I guess. And found some applications, found this design team out in Bozeman, Montana, because the economy was terrible, which by the way is a fantastic time to take a chance on this stuff. And they had been laid off from their jobs in New Zealand because selling bags down there was rough or something. I don't know. And they were trolling the internet.
Really wish I had a partner here. Once you get to that point of failure, if you can have somebody going, and help you get just a couple more reps, that right there, every time I can go into that red line area with somebody's help, or figure out a way how to do forced reps, every time I come in here, I'm stronger with that weight next time. But it's kind of hard doing it by yourself on certain exercises. You can't, like with tricep extensions, I could push the weight down and start catching negatives. But with this, there's only so much you can do to get a couple extra force reps in there. All right, so start out with my bulk movements, and then I move over to more isolated stuff. If you want to ask, is one set enough to stimulate growth? Well, you can think about it logically if you know what stimulates growth, and it's going into that red line area and presenting your body something it's never encountered before. So if you can push it into the, that red line area where your body's never been, is that going to produce growth? Well, yeah, it's going to produce growth because you're presenting with something that it's got to now cope to. You're threatening its physiology. So one set is enough, and any more than that, you're starting to deplete your chemical resources and deplete your body's ability to be able to compensate that, unless you're going to take off a week or something, or it's going to start diminishing how many days and extending how many days it's going to take for you to be able to work out and see a strength gain, right?
Yeah, which took years.
All right, we'll go over here to a military cable press. I'm going to do it with the cables just to mimic the dumbbells.
Does it materialize into a business? You can give up after 6 months. Yeah.
And the thing is that it is easy to say, what do you say? And this is a real existential question because, great art is never finished, it's only abandoned. I think that's Da Vinci, right? And Steve Jobs, great artist, shit. At some point you have to actually...
Well, thought I was set up.
It cannot be just...
I didn't think about that, I was.
Right, yeah. And you have to accept the fact that I might have to iterate this, or I might have to, accept the world's judgment. And then you're back into this conversation. You're not just doing this for yourself with your sewing machine in Ma's basement, right? Blogging about it. Like you have to actually come up with something of value to somebody else, put it for sale and sell it. And then people buy it or they don't. And that's that takes a little bit of courage too.
Who bought your first? Well, this was a great time. Hold on. This was a great time. Rough to smell. After we watch.
Silence.
You didn't get yelled at.
Absolute silence. That is the deadliest killer of them all. Silence. And it was something where, I spent, years and years at this point on a website design on a place, the place that had built the rucks was also gonna pick, pack, and ship it for me, which is a big no-no. If someone's promising to do all sorts of different stuff, just realize you better have someone that's your people that you see there, quality control there, which ended up being, had to get one of my old teammates who had transitioned to guard to drive in an hour one way periodically to check all the stuff that was in Colorado. Anyway, but the biggest thing was silence. It was like, I knew that this was awesome. I knew it was a good story that could be a thing, but the biggest problem was me. I was not really willing to, at that time, share anything.
I'm gonna do about 5 exercises total. 2 for front delt, 2 for the side, and then 1 for rear delt.
And I'm like, well, I can't have a real.
Probably should find another exercise that's more targeted for like a double exercise or 2 exercises for the rear delt. But I really haven't done too much. I just don't like the traditional these. I don't know, I might end up doing these, but I don't know. But all I'm trying to say is basically I'm going to do 5 to 6 exercises with a couple warm-up sets in between.
We used to wear.
And then just 1 set to failure on all those exercises.
The thing that nobody knew who was behind the mask, and we would make all the content at First Form because we didn't really want to associate our names to it. Exactly.
Just in case.
Just in case, right? Like it was kind of like, holy fuck, man! Like we're going out there. Well, let's just put these masks on. Maybe we'll know who it is.
Yeah.
And for the first, better part of maybe 3 or 4 months until we got comfortable doing it, we were the Legion of Boom with Uche Legion on our head. And so that fear. Even now, my social name was Mr. Musella because at the time, I didn't want it to be South Musella. My friends really knew what I was doing. I would be judged.
God, it's such a power. I mean, the fear, I still have it. Like the worst thing that I could get would be a note from somebody that I served with, or somebody tells me that somebody that I served with was somehow disappointed or embarrassed because I served with them. And that's just a huge thing it's highly motivating for me. And it's the same thing. I was not strong enough at the time of the launch of Go Run to sit and say,
do some static hold reps, till negative failure. Try to get the most out of that movement that you possibly can.
At some point you have to decide because it ain't gonna work out if you don't.
But I think you realize in that evolution of figuring out
that I was completely empowered to do this on my own terms and I could do it right. I don't have to build, disposable stuff that sucks. I don't have to, just because fast fashion became a thing that we studied in business school. It's like, oh, look at what a great business this is. Like, I don't believe in fast fashion. I think you should build better stuff. I think you should stand on it. I think you should, have it mean something. Put some soul, heart, love into it, and really give it meaning.
Yeah, one thing about the rest aspect of it too is most people don't realize that you actually don't grow in the gym. All you do is kick the growth mechanism into gear in the gym by stimulating the growth, and then actually at home when you're resting is whenever you're actually growing. And I mean, if you think about it, if you break a bone, it's going to take, medical science says it's going to take 6 weeks. And really that means that you've only got a finite amount of biochemical resources that can be deployed over time to be able to, compensate and mend that bone. And so basically it's a measurable amount of resources that are deployed, and it's 6 weeks. This is measurable, dude. And so it really does, whenever you eat into your body's stimulate that growth, it is going to be a certain finite amount of days and only a finite amount of resources that your body can cope to, and then actually overcompensate and make sure that it's stronger and it can adapt to that force better next time. And it's not like
that shit is fucking hard. It's not fun. It's difficult. And like
there's a difference in between an enhanced bodybuilder and then a bodybuilder who is doing everything natural. And somebody that is doing enhanced work with steroids, their body can recover at a way faster rate. And as a natural bodybuilder, you can't just go and do the same exact volume and rep and heavy pressing and all that stuff that somebody that's enhanced can, because your body just can't physically keep up with it. Like, you'll end up tearing it down. Like, if you hit a door with an axe once, it might be okay, but if you do it every single day, eventually you ain't gonna have a door left. And if you do that sort of volume, you really are overtraining your body, and that's exactly what prevents you from growing, is overtraining, which that's another topic too. But I'm gonna do lateral raises with dumbbells, couple warm-up sets, and then go into that heavy set.
And while you're putting on this play, for these people on the internet that you don't fucking know, your life is passing you by, and you are losing your opportunity that you have, which is your time, because you're trying to entertain people and convince people that you are somehow more enlightened or more free or whatever the fuck y'all think you are. But like, you ain't fooling me, bro, and you ain't fooling Jason. Like, bro, this shit is fucking hard, and you are going to have to suffer. You're going to have to talk about this too. Well, we should have supported the fucking rock, bro, because there's not a single person out here. Like, all the people that you
on those right there, lateral raises, if you can spring up and then kind of catch that negative, instead of just getting them up and letting them fall, I find that right there, the negative, is what actually gets me burning. I feel like way more focused on that exercise. I kind of come underneath my legs. It's almost like whenever I do, whenever I come down like this, then I'm kind of stretching, that side delt there. Spring up and then catch that negative down. Explode up, catch the negative down. I find that's more effective. Do one more warm-up set, and we'll do a set to failure here.
Like, who the fuck are we fooling here? Like, dude, there's going to be so many people in 10 years, 10, 12 years that are going to regret wasting their entire fucking youth on bullshit. And they're going to say, fuck, I don't know why nothing ever worked for me. I don't know why, like, my ideas never came to fruition. Well, because the minute it got hard, you didn't stick it out for 2 years like Jason did and put a product out, and then when it came out, which we're going to get to in a second, you get fucking silence, and then you keep persevering through it. That's why your shit didn't work out, bro. You're too busy dancing around pretending like you're living your life. This was no different, and I know I'm getting off on a fucking rant here, but this was no different than when I was building our first company, Supplement Superstores, bro. I was 19 years old when we started. The first 3 years I made $0. The next 7 years I made $695 a month. I made shit. All my fucking friends, they were getting fucking jobs. They were getting their college jobs, right? They're making 60 grand a year, 70 grand a year. They're calling me a broke motherfucker, telling me, when am I gonna get a real job? They're taking vacations. They're quote unquote living their life, right? And I'm doing this bullshit. And here's the thing, those same people that did the same shit, which is the same version of the shit that I'm describing now, which is this, oh, I'm fucking free, and I'm gonna record it all, right? Those same people are the same fucking people that now hit me up and ask me if I could fucking hire them. Or hit me up and say, hey, I wanna work with you guys. Or hit me up, and their life is a complete fucking disaster.
It's kind of weird because once you actually get the fundamentals of high intensity down, like, that's all there is to it. Like, you can definitely keep digging into some science stuff. You can definitely keep honing in your nutrition and, your form and all that stuff, which I've actually got a lot of work to do on that. But really, once you get the basics and the fundamentals down, that's not going to change. You've got to present your body enough stress to create an adaptive response. Your nutrition has to be there and the proper macronutrients, and if it's not, then you don't have enough. You can't create something from nothing, right? You gotta have enough rest. Like there's literally just a few different fundamentals that if something's not going good in your routine, like it can all boil down to one of those. One of those is off. You can have all four of them on, but if your diet isn't there, well, your body doesn't even have enough resources or calories to actually produce growth. Like it's like trying to run your car on an empty gas tank, right? So you can. I feel like I can get repetitive on some of this stuff, and but really, it's like once you've worked it all out in your mind and you see how it works, then that's it. That's all there is to it. It's not any more complicated than that. And we tend to complicate things, but really it's just like you just got to go back to the bare fundamentals. Am I stimulating growth? Do I got enough intensity, enough rest? And is my diet there? Like that's it, dude. And you know, so I'm trying to come up with some other topics to talk with you guys, but it's just like it all just goes back to driving home those things that work every single day. You know, it's like it's boring stuff. Success is boring, man. Like it's doing the same things day in and day out. The really boring stuff that works, you know. All right, so this is going to be the last step to failure. This is the one I got to push.
And I don't think it's a matter of fact, not like shaming people into doing whatever. You have to do this. You have to ask the girl out. You have to, the things that you know that you need to do, those are the things that are the good place to start. And wherever you need to go to get there, make the incremental steps to get there. And there's no silver bullets. There's no kind of, if someone's selling you as this, like, hey, the world's full of snails and here's a hammer, I'm the guy selling a hammer, that's a problem. That's not going to work. No. You have to get to the point where, okay, yes, you now have done some things to where you can't fake yourself. You know this to be true. And then you have to say, okay, so what do I believe in? And what mission do I want to be a part of? And so that's where the real value comes in, because we need each other as people. Being on a team is a lot better than being by yourself.
I've got a history of shoulder injuries.
The greatest moments of your life.
I've really had to get a lot of different weird traditional type of exercises out of my shoulder routine. Like these, every time, dude, my shoulder just sits there and clicks and clicks and clicks. Whereas I do feel like I can get a good burn. I feel like I'm sacrificing the health of my overall shoulder with I've really got to play around with the pressing movements, elbows in, flared out, lean back a little bit, and really play with it until I can get a range of motion that I don't feel like is actually compromising my shoulder joint. Lateral raises are fine, but I've really whittled down this entire routine to just really simple stuff that works for me. We're not all different in the fact that, like, they try to say, like, we're all different and you got to find what works for you. I'll agree with that partially, but we're not different in the fact that you're going to have to present your body with a stress that it's never seen before in order to grow. That's going to be the same across the board. You might have to find some different exercises because you're a wide guy and, you know, different exercises might work good for you, but you're going to have to push it into that red line area. So what works for me might not work for you exercise-wise, but that one truth is going to stay the same. You got to present your body a stress that's never seen before for it to grow. All right, so going to my second side delt exercise. That's going to be the, just a regular lateral raise with cables. I like this one too because I can actually go past my max. Once I hit my max, I can grab that cable with my other hand and help get it up. And every single time, if I can go 2 or 3 reps past my failure, then every time I come in the gym, dude, I'm stronger, man, every single time. And I can compare it to exercises that I wasn't able to do that with, and I don't grow it and get as strong as fast of a rate as I would if I've got assisted reps in there. All right.
Like, that irritates the fucking shit out of me. Bro, it fucking irritates the shit out of me. And it also irritates the shit out of me when I see young people who say they want all these things. They want to build something. They want to be successful. They want to do this. But then they're fucking buying into it. They're eating the wrong bait.
This is already pretty much my max here, but I'm gonna go with it anyways.
Part of something bigger than themselves.
No doubt. No doubt.
Starting for this. I know that I was. I go back. It was such a.
Well, the basis of this company is the basis of our company. To say, you know,
It was such a stressful time in my life. Between the whole build up my senior year in college to what job am I going to do? You know, I grew up in the 80s, was influenced by, people that were working on Wall Street, the Gordon Geckos. You're supposed to get out there and make a ton of money. That's what it is. That became, I thought it was going to be solve business problems. I just solve business problems. I'm not really, it's like, it was such a deeply emotionally challenging time for me because I had all of this energy, I had all of this passion. I really wanted to be professional with my life, and I just did not know how to do it. I didn't know where to start. I got a lot of no's from, I went to many places, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, the big type of places that I thought my quote had prepared me for. I mean, that people told me I was way too relaxed and chill. I didn't have the drive to be a Goldman. I mean, no fault to them. It's like, it was just the people in the front line. Probably I didn't know how to interview. I didn't know how to.
it's like, bro, you're way too intense.
Exactly. So then
Yeah, if you can get those assisted reps up, just catch that negative all the way down to failure. Yeah, that's where it's at, man.
What am I supposed to want to be a part of something bigger than themselves? And we have to, at times we have to cut them a little bit of a break, you gotta do this. You meet them just a little bit closer to where they are. And you say, hey, check it out. Find something that you believe in. Pay your dues. Spend years there. Learn the place before you have this big grandiose opinion about, the big bosses suck and they don't know anything. Like, pay your dues. But go to someplace that you believe in. Like, there's almost no bad, as long as you get to work hard, there's almost no bad job in this place. Because
you're gonna learn a lot of shit.
You don't know
anything.
Yeah, if you choose to.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going through. And to Andrew's point earlier, to Jason, to your point, it's not the zeros in the bank account. The best thing that I feel we get to do every single day is go back and invest back into this community and helping these young people find their path, because
it's everything.
Yes, it is the most challenging thing that we do. The gray hairs exist on my head for those exact same conversations. But it is the most rewarding because there's nothing better than watching somebody commit to.
So it's last workout for rear delts.
Becoming a best version.
It's a reverse cable fly. You're gonna squeeze, you're gonna pull down and squeeze right into that contracted position. If you can give like kind of rotating with your wrists at the same time, you can get some activation in that side delt too. These have actually been super effective for targeting that rear delt. It'd probably be about like that. The dumbbell, I don't even know what that would be. It'd be like doing it with the dumbbell, basically just with your body at a different angle.
And it's actually a testament to how I really think about people too. Because if I was doing how people think I am sometimes, I would hate that motherfucker for proving me wrong. My favorite thing in the fucking world is when these fucking young people who I think cannot fucking possibly fucking step up. When they step the fuck up and they prove me wrong, it's like the coolest fucking thing ever. I'm like, dude, alright, there's fucking hope here.
We will have our moment.
Yes.
Our generation will have our moment in mass for the next generation.
Yeah.
That's my belief.
Yeah, I believe it too. I believe it too. So, dude, getting back on your story, because it's incredible. I'm sorry we went off on the reins. Silence.
Yeah.
All right, so how'd you manufacture? How did you manufacture non-silence?
Right. So I got a website, I got 3 bags and a half on that website, right? 3 bags and a half, that's what I got, right? That's a good start.
Really good start.
And I'm like, okay, my first idea was a terrible one, but it was definitely one of action. I'm gonna get in my truck with my dog and drive 48 states, meet people, get to adventure, press out of my truck. I bought the sports rack I bought, because I definitely didn't have enough room inside of the Sanguine expedition for all this stuff I was gonna sell. And then I had them ready to ship me resupply as I was selling them through that whole summer. You know, it was pretty sweet, the plan that I had in my own mind, of course. Still fully so exactly zero. You're like, you got a lot of opinions from people, right? Like, so if you're in SF and you're in silhouette range and you're not shooting well, everybody has about why you're not shooting well. And when you're shooting well, it's like nobody's got an opinion about anything. They're just like, watch out, respect, you know?
Yeah.
And so this is one of those things, everybody had an opinion about, well, maybe if it was this, and maybe if it was that. And the bottom line was, I thought that I needed to drive around to small men's shops, something like that, where I could have one-on-one conversations with people and sell them on the virtues of this very expensive rucksack, which cost was for sale for $295. Right? Unknown brand, hey, made in America, Special Forces roots, all that stuff. But $295 is $295.
Yeah, they're looking at it saying, that's a fucking backpack.
Whoa, and wholesale's 50%, and I'm making basically nothing off of that. Awesome, right? But hey, it'll get the word out, whatever. But this is definitely gonna work, you know? And what I realized was at the end of that summer, which I refused to stop short because I'm too stubborn, right? There were some other people that were around and everybody had left. It was scorched earth, right? Because they brought in someone to take photos, brought in someone else to, help with the sales, someone else to help with all this stuff. By then it was me and my dog. Bad country song, me and my dog and a bottle of whiskey at campgrounds, literally, in Wyoming, okay? And it's like, this business model, how about let's not do that anymore? So what I did not know was anything about Facebook ads or Google AdWords or whatever. And that's something that I was never going to get good enough fast enough in order to make this work out. And something I didn't really want. Let's be real, right? And so it was like, okay, but what I do know how to do is because I know how to work this stuff and I know how to teach people to do it. I know how to basically show them that they are capable of way more than they can possibly ever know. So I'm actually speaking the Go Ruck Challenge. Details not forthcoming. Started out at 5 to 6 hours, it became 10 to 12, then it became 12 plus hours. And it was like, details not forthcoming. Oh yeah, bring this rucksack and we're gonna stuff it full of bricks at the start point. How does that sound? And what happened was Fight Club with rucksacks was born. And it just became this kind of, the business, we had to build around it, and I go into all those sort of, hey, the first price of the Go Ruck Challenge was half the price of the rucksack, and you got to keep the rucksack. So you got 12 hours with a Green Beret, AKA at that time, me, in awesome leadership, team building, excellence, lessons underneath the ruck, and you got to keep this ruck that I basically somehow lost money on, but at least it was something, man. Like we were, and all of a sudden, that was the energy, that became Go Ruck, it's about pushing a little bit harder. It's about, let's do it together. It was a team event, never a race.
So what you're saying is, you had to get out there and get your fucking hands dirty.
Very.
And lose money.
Yeah.
And lose money.
And lose money, and convince people to do really hard shit in the middle of the fucking night.
Bro, I fucking love it. My first experience with Go Ruck that I ever did was for my dad. Yeah, and he did one of your, I think it was a 24-hour deal. Did you do 24-hour deals? Or was it 12
Heavy
hours?
tough, right?
Yeah, basic, tough, heavy now, because it's the Go Ruck Challenge underneath that. But the heavy's 24 hours.
About 10 years ago.
It was early.
That was probably the 12 plus, but
We do
sometimes turned into
decline sit-ups. No, I'm
Yeah.
You got
gonna take a break, do forearms. Basically just do a superset in between decline sit-ups and then forearms here. Just basic wrist curls.
Yeah.
I remember you had to say you
And everything-
t-shirt was like the Go Ruck gray
That's right.
t-shirt with
Yeah.
Everything from a long time ago is now 2010. It was 2000 last week, but I switched to 2010 now. But yeah,
But the underground experience, I think, is an important thing to note here is you had to pivot and say, okay, well, fuck it, I'm not gonna go sell around these, you know, bougie men's boutique shop. Let's get back to my roots.
I mean, we tried the non-bougie ones too. We tried like hunting and fishing stores. You know, we tried them all, and none of it
I mean,
worked.
in all fairness to them,
but you went out and made believers in these people by doing it yourself.
Or arguably different people at that time, right? Because we went after the crazies. We went after this really niche group of people that it's the same. And so it's the same type of person that signs up for special forces in a time of war or not, says send me. And this is why I talk about belief in America, belief in our way of life, because what I found in my veteran transition at that time, which became the veteran stereotype transition, AKA really hard, right, was I needed to find something to believe in. Because I was military service and I wasn't doing the CIA thing. My marriage was in the crash and burn stage. Later I got remarried to the same girl. It's, you know, it all gets crazier. But at this point it was me and my dog basically, and no money because I had poured it into everything. And it was, you know, it was just one of those things where America is full of people that at that time still wanted to show up and do really hard things, and I thought that was reserved for special forces. I thought I will never be as cool as I was in special forces. That is where the awesome exists. It's only there, and the rest of my life basically sucks. Because other people suck because they're not Green Berets, right? And that's me looking at life through a straw and feeling sorry for myself. And what I found was, look, I mean, the basic truth is I never would have signed up for the Army without 9/11. Am I glad 9/11 happened? No. I'm just telling you, my life is profoundly richer because of the things that happened in the wake of that tragedy. And so I don't sit here and take some sort of high ground, like I served in the military and other people didn't. I have zero high ground. I would not have done it without this. The point is that there's a lot of people out there, and life is we all, there's lots of different ways to serve and all of that stuff, but there's a lot of just crazy people here that want to do really hard stuff and like want to serve other people and are just good people.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to forget about that, man.
Yes.
And every time I go to class, you know, you're going to Facebook, you get angry.
You know, one of the big differences I see
inspired. And that's
with like
with
my diet aspect this time around that I've never had is I'm actually using a scale to you know, weigh out my portions of the things I'm eating. Whereas before I just kind of eyeball it and be like, oh, that's not that much. And I never got ripped either. It wasn't until I got really precise did I start like and honed in on like my maintenance of calorie range, or like my maintenance calorie range. Am I actually able to start saying, okay, I need more in these instances or less, you know, in this instance, such as like cutting, but actually finding it and being precise with it. I lost my train of thought there. Do forearms for a second. I'll figure out what I was about to say.
No productive value for ourselves or for others. And I just found a bunch of good people who want to whoop it on. And at that point, it's like, okay, now I believe in Go Up because of these people. What you find when you serve other people is the more you serve, you get greater returns that encourage you to serve even more. And in which case, then you're on a really positive loop in life. And that is really rewarding, and that's the loop that we're on. It's really
Okay. So, one reason why I just was eyeballing it and trying to be alright with saying that was okay is because I really didn't want to admit to myself that what I was eating probably wasn't satisfactory in the portion wise. Yes, it was less than I had been eating, which I was giving myself a pat on the back for that. But really, whenever I started weighing it out, like it'd be like half of that portion. I'd be like, damn, dude. And it wasn't until I could really get down to see the actual portion weighed out and be like, oh shit, like that's actually the amount of food that I've got to eat for this to even have any effect. Like the calorie deficit, 500 calories a day times 7 days is 3,500 calories. a pound of fat is 3,600 calories. So boom, at that rate, you're not even going to see anything meaningful unless you drop about 500 calories. So it's important that you find out, that exact portion and stick with it. Because if not, then if it's only 250, calories a day at a deficit, well, it's going to take you 2 weeks to lose a pound of fat. If I want to lose 10 pounds of fat, it's going to take me 20 weeks, dude. That's like almost half a year. That's like, 1/3 of a year. It's just like, who wants to do that? So it wasn't until I got it whittled down to accurate, it wasn't until I got precise, and then I was able to actually, start making progress. And another thing too is like I would take a half a cup and scoop out my oats, and it would say half a cup is like X amount of carbs, this and that. Well, I'd go and weigh it out. It wouldn't be accurate. Like if I weigh it out, it'd be actually probably like, it wouldn't take, fucking totally butchering this shit. But basically, I think is 40 grams. Yeah, 40 grams. And if you take a half cup scoop of oats and you put that on the scale, dude, it was like 63 grams. So right there, I was already off 150 calories or 100 calories. And so the scale allowed me to get precise and hone in my diet like exactly where it needed to be. Since I've done that, I've started to see my abs come in every single day, dude.
It wouldn't exist if that. I did not want to run a backpack company. I wanted to in it, and so it was better because of the adversity.
Yeah. Well, I want to highlight two things. One, personally, I only support one other person, and it's Jason's. And because I understand the story of him. You know what I mean? I believe in what he's doing. I know what he's been through. I believe in the company. I'm a buyer of the product. Like, I love the mission.
Yeah, you're an actual customer.
Yeah, without question. And it wasn't, it was started over a beer, built into an understanding. Then I'm buying bags for all the guys and going through the whole process. Then it's I believe. And I think that's an important piece, that you create the belief. But two, you go back to the communication piece, where you learn to have the the hard communication, you get a little better at it. And I think where the pivot happened, at least for me, is I was so tired of just being rejected. I have to pivot something. I have to keep going back in, but I wasn't going to quit, and I think that I learned a lot about myself, chewing 22 cans of tobacco on the road, 27 spitters in the floorboard. But what you learn is to continue to have a different conversation, but never quit to show back up to have the conversation. And through that, you create that community. And my first bond was actually a Green Beret in all things, in
Colorado.
Well, Travis Wilson. It's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah.
The two of them, Wayne Clifford and Travis Wilson, but it was, all right, man, I gotta talk about something else. Like, these guys don't give a shit about the protein. How about those humans? Like, I'll just start talking about them. Then they became
And one of the reasons why
my friends, you became,
I'm making it a point to leave my shirt off during these exercises and this whole 75 hard process is, for one, to document me going from somewhat overweight to ripped, but also because I have found, like, whenever I got heavier in weight, like, I would buy bigger clothes to cover it up so I didn't look as bad to people, so I felt more comfortable with where I was at. Because if I would have left a smaller shirt on, then my stomach would have been showing, it would have been uncomfortable, right? But I noticed that whenever I would buy bigger clothes, it's like I would grow into those, because now I had more leeway because I've got it covered up, and you just get bigger. And I found that if you actually put yourself out there, as uncomfortable as it feels, you'll get embarrassed and you'll almost shame yourself into being like, no, dude, I can't be like that. And one thing is, like, yeah, you might know you're a little overweight, but whenever you go back and look at a camera and see yourself, you're like, oh, fuck. Like, we always minimize those things in our head to where it's not as bad as what we think. But, dude, just like sometimes you can't ignore it. So I'm leaving my shirt off, as uncomfortable as it may be on some of these workouts, just to make sure that I live up to the expectation I really want to have and get myself down to the place where I want to be. Because if I'm a little embarrassed about it, then I'll do something about it. I'll prioritize my diet and other workouts to make sure I get on top of that.
You start thinking this narrative, right?
Right.
And it's like, and I can't even sell one damn backpack.
Not one.
Not one. Right? I can't do anything right. And like, you get on that struggle bus and you start believing your own negative self-talk for too long, it goes real bad. And those kinds of emotional, hard, they're hard, man. That is my definition of
Still
hard.
happen.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a big misconception. People think that you go through it only in the beginning stages. But I think there's staircases to that. Well, that's important,
No, I think it's super. I'm not shaking my head because I disagree. I'm shaking my head because people would think anything else.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, bro, this shit's fucking hard. It's hard for me. Like, I have fucking mental breakdown once fucking every month, bro. Like, thinking like, holy fuck. Like, there's this, there's that, there's this. Like, then you get like you're saying, bro, like you start comparing. You're like, well, all my other entrepreneur buddies aren't having mental breakdowns.
Yeah,
that's real.
And I see this with the
Yeah, and also another reason that I'm doing it too is because, we've got theoretical knowledge that adds up mathematically, all of that stuff. And it's just like, I know that over time, my theories are going to work out, and I'm going to get to where I say I'm going to get with the precision of a month to the week to the day. It all adds up mathematically, negative 500 calories per day is 3,500 at the end of the week, which is 1 pound, and over 10 weeks, that's 10 pounds. And that's not even counting the cardio that I do. So it's probably going to be more than that, but I know it's going to put me in a good place to actually apply my knowledge and see it actually come to fruition, because it's just head knowledge until you actually apply it, and then then it's real to you, So that was another reason too, because I knew my theories are solid and sound, and the theories that I've been taught and studied and researched.
I mean, this isn't even Mother Teresa had doubts about God. I mean, this is well documented. I mean, everybody. And Mother Teresa can have, question her faith. Like, let's give ourselves the permission to understand that that's going to happen to all of us.
Yeah.
And the more that we go through something, and this is where you need support structures. I knew that how that call was.
Yeah.
But you need kind of support structures.
Another thing about that is too, like, if you find out what your maintenance range of calories are, and then you purposefully go underneath that with your calorie intake, like 500 calories, and you've got extra stored body fat, a weird thing is your body will steal calories from your fat too, that are, if you still need calories to make up for growth. Eventually you'll get to the point where you're so lean that it really doesn't have that option. It'll start actually deteriorating muscle instead of your fat reserves, and that's whenever, because I'm to the point, like, I want to get in between that range, stay in the range of bulking and cutting. Like, whenever I'm cutting, I'm completely ripped at like 10% body fat or 10 or 12, but whenever I start to bulk, I don't want to lose visible abs, but maybe get up to like 15% or something. Still see the abs, but I don't feel like it's any more necessary to go and get super fat, because whenever that time of year comes around again, then I'm going to have to diet even harder, longer, and it's not fun. So why would I pile on weight in the name of bulking when you're actually just going way above what you need, and it's kind of useless? So I feel like I just want to stay in that range where I've got six-pack all year long, and but whenever, so I basically just said it, but visible abs being the kind of indicator whether I'm in shape or, okay, now I'm starting to lose visibility, like, that's time to cut it back. I'll stop before that, but alright, dude, so that's the ab workout, forearms and shoulders for, I think, day 24 of 75 hard. I'm going to go in and do some editing and all that shit, get my day on track and get going. And, dude, I'm going to start thinking about more topics that I can present to you guys and break down a little better. I need to put a little bit more thought into them so they flow out a little bit better, but it is what it is, dude. Appreciate you guys following along, and I'll see you probably tomorrow or the next day. I think I'm gonna do quads tomorrow. I was gonna do them today, but my hamstrings are still sore, so I'm gonna give it that 1 day, extra day of rest. So probably be quads tomorrow, but anyways, all right, dude. I'll see you guys.